Derek, whose contact is saved as V in your phone? My voice came out steadier than I felt. My hands were shaking in my lap. I kept looking at the Apple Watch on my husband's wrist. The message had flashed across the screen just seconds ago, bright and damning in the darkness of the car. V says the baby is kicking. She wants to know if you're coming tonight. Derek's knuckles went white on the steering wheel. The windshield wipers beat a frantic rhythm against the rain, but inside the car, the silence was suffocating. Vanessa, not now. Not now. I heard my voice crack. Not now. Derek, answer the question. Who is V? He didn't look at me. His jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping beneath his skin. We had been driving back from his company dinner. The same dinner where I had smiled and played the perfect wife for 3 hours while his colleagues complimented us on our beautiful marriage. 5 years. We had been married for 5 years. Answer me. My hand shot out and grabbed his arm. The car swerved slightly. Derek's head whipped toward me, and for the first time in our marriage, I saw something in his eyes that made my blood run cold. Not guilt. Not remorse. Rage. You want to know. His voice was low, dangerous. Fine. It's Vivian. Happy now. The name hit me like a physical blow. Vivian. My best friend. My maid of honor. The woman who had held my hand through my father's funeral last year. Who came to our house every Sunday for brunch. Who had been in our lives since college. You're lying. But even as I said it, I knew he wasn't. Every late-night meeting, every business trip, every time he had pulled away when I tried to touch him. The way Vivian had stopped meeting my eyes 3 months ago. The way she had cancelled our last 4 coffee dates. She's pregnant. The question came out as a whisper. Derek's silence was answer enough. How long? 2 years. 2 years. Not a mistake. Not a moment of weakness. 2 years of lying, of betrayal, of looking me in the eye every morning and pretending we were building a life together. I felt something break inside my chest, something vital and irreparable. Pull over. My voice didn't sound like my own. Vanessa. I said pull over. He did. The car jerked to a stop on the side of the road. We were 20 minutes outside the city, on a stretch of highway I didn't recognize. Rain hammered the roof like bullets. Through the window, I could see nothing but darkness and the occasional sweep of headlights from passing cars. I'm sorry. Derek's words were flat, emotionless. I didn't want you to find out like this. I turned to look at him, really look at him. The man I had loved since I was 22. The man I had built my entire adult life around. And I realized with sudden, crushing clarity that I was looking at a stranger. You're not sorry you did it, I said quietly. You're sorry you got caught. His silence confirmed everything. My hand found the door handle. I don't know what I was thinking. I just needed out. Out of this car, away from him. Away from the suffocating reality that my entire marriage had been a lie. What are you doing? Derek's voice sharpened. Vanessa, don't be dramatic. Get back in the car. But I was already out, already standing in the rain. It soaked through my dress in seconds, the cold shocking against my skin. The red cocktail dress I had worn to impress his boss now clung to me like a second skin, my heels sinking into the muddy shoulder of the road. Vanessa. Derek leaned across the passenger seat. His face twisted with annoyance, not concern. Get in the car. You're making a scene. There's no one here. I shouted over the rain. Who am I making a scene for? Just get in. We'll talk about this at home. Home. I laughed, and it sounded unhinged even to my own ears. You mean the home where you've been lying to me for 2 years? That home. You're being hysterical. That word. That dismissive, condescending word he always used when I showed any emotion he didn't want to deal with. Something in me snapped. Drive away then, I said. If I'm so hysterical, if I'm such a burden, just go. I expected him to get out, to come around the car, to apologize, to beg, to show some hint of the man I thought I had married. Instead, Derek looked at me for a long moment, his face illuminated by the green glow of the dashboard. Then he reached across and pulled the passenger door shut. The car rolled forward. "Derek!" I lunged after it, my heels skidding on the wet pavement. "Derek, wait!" But the taillights were already disappearing into the rain, leaving me alone on a dark highway in the middle of nowhere. He left me. He actually left me. Hey there, my wonderful friend. I know this is intense, but I promise you, this story goes places you won't expect. I would love to hear your thoughts as we go. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from, and whether you've ever felt invisible to someone who was supposed to love you. The shock hit first, freezing me in place even as the rain poured down. Then came the anger, hot and sharp. Then, finally, the crushing weight of reality. I was alone, soaked to the bone, miles from anywhere I recognized. My phone was in my purse, which was in Derek's car, because I had left it on the floor when I jumped out. No phone, no money, no way to call for help. I started walking. I don't know how long I walked. Time became meaningless, measured only by the ache in my feet and the growing numbness in my fingers. My heels kept catching on the uneven pavement. Twice I nearly twisted my ankle. Finally, I kicked them off and carried them, the asphalt rough and cold beneath my bare feet. Cars passed occasionally, their headlights blinding me before they disappeared back into the darkness. None of them stopped. Why would they? I probably looked dangerous, a drenched woman stumbling along the highway in the middle of the night. My thoughts spun in vicious circles. 2 years. Vivian was pregnant. Derek had looked at me with such cold indifference. Had he ever loved me? Had any of it been real? I was so lost in my spiral of misery that I didn't notice the car slowing behind me until the headlights cast my shadow long across the road. I turned, squinting against the brightness. The vehicle was large and black, expensive looking even through the curtain of rain. It rolled to a stop a few feet away. Every self-preservation instinct I had screamed at me to run. Strange car. Dark highway. Vulnerable woman. This was how horror stories began. But I was so tired. So cold. And some broken part of me whispered that maybe I deserved whatever happened next. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out, and even through the rain, I could see he was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing dark clothes that seemed to absorb the light. He didn't hurry, didn't rush toward me. Just stood there for a moment, studying me with an intensity that made me want to shrink back. Then he moved and I saw the tattoos. They covered his hands, disappeared up his forearms beneath rolled sleeves. In the stark beam of the headlights, they looked like shadows given form, intricate patterns I couldn't quite make out. He shrugged out of his coat as he approached. Black, heavy, probably worth more than my wedding ring. Without a word, he draped it over my shoulders. The warmth was immediate and shocking. The coat smelled like expensive cologne and something else, something darker. Smoke maybe. Or danger. No one leaves a woman like you in the rain. His voice was rough, low, with an edge that suggested violence kept carefully leashed. I looked up at him. Really looked. His face was hard angles and sharp edges, a scar cutting through his left eyebrow, eyes so dark they looked black in the dim light. This was not a safe man. Not a good Samaritan stopping to help out of the kindness of his heart. This was a predator who had found something interesting. My voice failed. I didn't even know what to say. Thank you. Leave me alone. Help me. You're bleeding. He nodded toward my feet. I looked down. He was right. Blood mixed with rainwater, streaming from cuts I hadn't even felt. I can take you wherever you need to go, he said. Or I can leave you here. Your choice. It should have been an easy decision. Stranger danger. Never get in a car with someone you don't know. All the lessons I had learned as a child. But Derek's face flashed through my mind. The cold indifference. The way he had driven away without a backward glance. At least this stranger was honest about what he was. I don't have anywhere to go. The truth spilled out before I could stop it. Something flickered in those dark eyes. Not pity. Something else. Something that looked almost like recognition. Then come with me. He turned and walked back to the car, confident I would follow. And God help me, I did. The interior of the car was warm and dark, all leather and polished wood. I sank into the passenger seat, still clutching his coat around my shoulders, leaving a puddle of rainwater beneath me. The door closed with a solid, expensive thunk that sealed out the storm. He slid into the driver's seat and the engine purred to life. For a moment neither of us spoke. The silence felt heavy with questions neither of us knew how to ask. "Nicholas." He said it without looking at me, eyes on the road as he pulled back onto the highway. "My name is Nicholas Marcello. Vanessa." My voice sounded small. "Vanessa Hart." "What happened tonight, Vanessa Hart?" There was no judgment in the question, just curiosity. I should have lied, made up something simple and safe. But I was too exhausted for pretense. "My husband is having a baby with my best friend. He left me on the side of the road when I confronted him about it." The words came out flat, emotionless. "Shock probably. 2 years. They've been together for 2 years. Nicholas's hands tightened on the steering wheel, just slightly. "Your husband is a fool. You don't know me. Maybe he had his reasons." "There's no reason." His voice went hard. "You don't abandon someone you're supposed to protect. You don't leave them vulnerable. You especially don't leave them in the rain on a dark road where anything could happen to them." The intensity in his voice startled me. This wasn't polite sympathy. This was genuine anger on my behalf, and I didn't understand it. "Why did you stop?" I asked. "For me, I mean. Most people wouldn't. Most people aren't me." It wasn't an answer, but somehow it was. I studied his profile in the green glow of the dashboard. Strong nose, hard jaw, that scar bisecting his eyebrow. He looked like he'd been in fights. Won them too. "Where are you taking me?" "My home. You need to get warm and dry. Then we'll figure out what comes next." I should have protested. Demanded he take me to a hotel, a hospital, anywhere public and safe. But the truth was I had no money, no ID, no way to pay for anything. My credit cards were all joint accounts with Derek. If I used them, he'd know exactly where I was. Did I want him to know where I was? The answer that rose up surprised me with its vehemence. Well, I wanted to disappear. I wanted him to wonder, to worry, to feel even a fraction of the panic and abandonment he'd left me with. "Okay," I whispered. Nicholas glanced at me then, something unreadable flickering across his face. "Okay." We drove in silence for another 20 minutes. The storm began to ease as we left the highway and entered what looked like the expensive outskirts of the city. The houses grew larger, set back from the road behind gates and walls. Old money territory. The kind of neighborhood where people didn't ask questions because they had their own secrets to keep. Finally, Nicholas turned between 2 stone pillars onto a private drive. The gate swung open automatically as we approached, closing behind us with an ominous clang that made my heart skip. The house that emerged from the darkness took my breath away. Not a house. Mansion. 3 stories of stone and glass, lit from within with warm golden light. Manicured gardens stretched into shadows on either side. A fountain stood silent in the circular drive. "You live here?" The question slipped out. "I do. What do you do?" I asked, then immediately regretted it. "Sorry. That's rude. You don't have to answer. I run a family business." His tone suggested the conversation was over. A family business that afforded a mansion like this and a car that probably cost 6 figures. I wasn't naive. I knew what that likely meant. But I was too numb, too broken, to care about the danger I might be walking into. Nicholas parked near the front entrance and came around to open my door. His coat was still around my shoulders, his shirt now soaked through from the brief exposure to the rain. I could see the tattoos more clearly now. They weren't random. They were deliberate, artistic. Roses and thorns wound up his forearms. Roman numerals marked the inside of his wrist. And on his left hand, across the knuckles, a word in elegant script that I couldn't quite read in the dim light. He noticed me looking but said nothing, just offered his hand to help me out of the car. His palm was warm and calloused against mine. Strong. The kind of hand that could hurt someone very badly if it wanted to. The front door opened before we reached it. A woman stood in the entrance, older, maybe 60, with silver hair pulled back in an elegant bun and sharp eyes that took in everything in a single glance. She looked at Nicholas's wet shirt, then at me in my ruined dress and bare feet, then at the coat around my shoulders. Her expression didn't change, but I saw understanding flash across her face. Nicholas. Her voice was crisp, professional, with just a hint of an Italian accent. I wasn't expecting you to bring a guest. Teresa, this is Vanessa. She needs a room prepared and medical attention. He gestured to my bleeding feet. Can you handle that? Of course. Teresa's eyes softened when they landed on me. Come, dear. Let's get you taken care of. I looked back at Nicholas, suddenly uncertain. He had been my anchor for the last hour, the solid presence that kept me from completely falling apart. The thought of him leaving now sent an irrational spike of panic through me. He seemed to sense it. I'll be right upstairs. Teresa will take care of you. I nodded and followed the older woman into the house. The interior matched the exterior. Elegant, expensive, beautiful in a way that felt both welcoming and intimidating. Marble floors, high ceilings, art that looked original rather than reproduction. But there were personal touches too. Fresh flowers in vases. Photographs in silver frames. Books stacked on side tables. Actually read rather than decorative. Someone lived here. Really lived here. Teresa led me up a sweeping staircase to the second floor, down a hallway lined with closed doors, and into a bedroom that was bigger than the entire apartment I'd lived in during college. The bathroom is through there, she said, pointing to a door on the left. I'll bring you something to wear and a first aid kit. Take a hot shower. You're shaking. I hadn't noticed, but now that she mentioned it, I couldn't stop the tremors running through my body. Thank you, I managed. Teresa paused at the door, her expression softening. Whatever you're running from, you're safe here. Nicholas doesn't bring people home. The fact that he brought you means something. Before I could ask what that meant, she was gone. I stood in the center of the enormous bedroom, dripping on the pristine hardwood floor, and finally let myself feel the full weight of what had happened. Derek had left me. My husband, the man who had promised to love and cherish me, had driven away without a second glance. And Vivian. God, Vivian. How many times had she sat in our living room, knowing she was carrying his child? How many times had she hugged me, looked me in the eye, asked how my marriage was going? The shower was scalding, exactly what I needed. I stood under the spray until my skin turned pink and the shaking finally stopped. Someone, Teresa probably, had left fluffy towels and a robe on the counter. The robe was too big, clearly meant for a man, for Nicholas, and I tried not to think about why that made me feel safe rather than uncomfortable. When I emerged, there were clothes laid out on the bed. Soft cotton pajama pants, a t-shirt, clean bandages and antiseptic for my feet. A glass of water and 2 pills sat on the nightstand with a note in elegant handwriting. For the pain. Not prescription. Just ibuprofen. Teresa. I treated my feet, surprised by how badly cut they actually were. The adrenaline must have masked the pain. Now it throbbed with every heartbeat. I was bandaging the last cut when a knock sounded at the door. Come in, I called, expecting Teresa. It was Nicholas. He changed too into dry clothes. Dark jeans, a black Henley that hugged his frame and showed off the tattoos that continued up his arms. His hair was damp, slicked back from his face, making his features look even sharper. In the warm light of the bedroom, I could see him clearly for the first time. He was younger than I'd thought. Mid-30s maybe. And handsome in a dangerous way that made my pulse quicken despite everything. How are your feet? He asked, staying in the doorway like he didn't want to intrude. Sore, but I'll live. I finished tying off the bandage. Thank you. For all of this. You didn't have to help me. Yes, I did. He said it with such conviction that I looked up sharply. Why? He was quiet for a long moment, his dark eyes studying me with that same intensity from the highway. 5 years ago, someone I cared about very much was in trouble. She needed help and no one stopped. No one helped. By the time I found her, it was too late. The pain in his voice was raw, real. I'm sorry. So when I saw you tonight, alone in the rain, looking like your world had just ended, I saw her. And I couldn't drive past. I won't make that mistake again. There was a story there, a tragedy that had shaped him. I wanted to ask more, but the shadows in his eyes warned me off. Well, thank you anyway, I said softly. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't stopped. You would have survived. His voice was certain. You're stronger than you think. I don't feel strong. I feel broken. Nicholas stepped into the room then, closing the distance between us until he was standing right in front of me. Close, he was overwhelming. Tall and broad and radiating a barely contained power that should have terrified me. Instead, I felt safe. Broken doesn't mean weak, he said quietly. Sometimes breaking is what makes us stronger. The cracks are where the light gets in. I looked up at him, this dangerous stranger who had shown me more kindness in an hour than my husband had in months, and felt something shift in my chest. I don't even know you. No, he agreed. But you will. Sounded like a promise. Or maybe a warning. Stay here tonight, Nicholas continued. Tomorrow we'll figure out what you need. But right now you need to rest. He was right. Exhaustion was pulling at me, the adrenaline finally wearing off and leaving me hollow and drained. Okay. Nicholas turned to leave, then paused at the door. Vanessa, if your husband tries to contact you to find you, you tell me. Understand? There was something in his voice that sent a shiver down my spine. Not fear. Anticipation. Why would you care about that? His eyes met mine, hard and cold and full of promise. Because no one whose mind gets treated like that. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you're under my protection. That makes you mine. He left before I could process that statement, the door clicking shut softly behind him. I sat on the edge of the enormous bed in a stranger's house wearing borrowed clothes, and realized that my entire life had changed in the span of a few hours. I had lost my husband, my best friend, my marriage, my home. But maybe, just maybe, I had found something else. Something dangerous. Something real. I slipped under the covers and closed my eyes, and for the first time in 2 years, I slept without the weight of Derek's lies pressing down on my chest. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the smell of fresh coffee. For one blissful moment I forgot where I was. Forgot everything that had happened. Then reality came crashing back with brutal efficiency. Derek. Vivian. The rain. Nicholas. I sat up slowly, my body aching in places I didn't know could ache. My feet throbbed despite the bandages. The bedside clock read 9:47 a.m. I never slept past 7, not even on weekends. Derek liked breakfast at 7:30 sharp. Derek didn't get a vote anymore. The thought brought a savage satisfaction that surprised me. Someone had left clothes folded on the chair by the window. Women's clothes this time, in exactly my size. Dark jeans, a soft cream sweater, undergarments still in their packaging. How had they known my size? I dressed carefully, my feet protesting every movement, and made my way downstairs. The house looked different in daylight. Less intimidating, more lived in. I followed the smell of coffee and the low murmur of voices to what turned out to be an enormous kitchen. Teresa stood at the stove, and Nicholas sat at the large island in the center, a tablet in front of him and a phone pressed to his ear. He was speaking rapid Italian, his voice clipped and authoritative. When he saw me in the doorway, he held up one finger in a wait gesture and finished his conversation. We'll discuss this tonight. No excuses. He ended the call and set the phone down. Good morning. How did you sleep? Better than I expected. I crossed to the island. Accepting the cup of coffee, Teresa slid toward me with a grateful smile. Thank you for the clothes. How did you know my size? I'm observant, Nicholas said simply. Teresa made a small sound that might have been a laugh. He has one of his people check your driver's license photo in the DMV database and cross-referenced your social media pictures to estimate your measurements. Then he had someone go to 3 different stores at 6 this morning to get options. I stared at him. You hacked the DMV. I made a phone call, Nicholas corrected. There's a difference. That's terrifying. That's thorough. He took a sip of his own coffee, watching me over the rim. You needed clothes. Now you have them. I should have been disturbed. This man had access to resources and information that normal people definitely didn't have. But instead I felt something else. Cared for. After years of Derek barely noticing when I cut my hair, someone had moved mountains to make sure I had clean clothes. Thank you, I said quietly. Something warm flickered in Nicholas's eyes. You're welcome. Teresa set a plate of food in front of me. Eggs, toast, fresh fruit. My stomach growled, reminding me I hadn't eaten since lunch yesterday. I dug in while Nicholas went back to his tablet, occasionally typing notes or answering brief messages. We ate in comfortable silence. It should have been awkward, sharing breakfast with a man I'd just met, but it wasn't. It felt strangely natural, like something we'd done 100 times before. I was finishing my coffee when Nicholas's phone rang again. He glanced at the screen and his expression darkened. It's for you. He turned the phone so I could see the screen. The number calling was Derek's. My heart jumped into my throat. How does he have your number? He doesn't. He's calling every phone number associated with this address. Property records are public. He's working through the list. Nicholas's voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. Do you want to talk to him? Did I? Part of me wanted to ignore it, to let Derek panic and wonder. But another part needed to hear his voice, to confirm that last night had really happened. Yes. I reached for the phone. Nicholas handed it to me, but before I could answer, he caught my wrist gently. Remember, you don't owe him anything. Not explanations, not forgiveness, nothing. I nodded and pressed answer, putting it on speaker at Nicholas's gesture. Hello, Vanessa. Derek's voice exploded through the line, relief and anger tangled together. Jesus Christ, where are you? I've been calling everyone. I filed a missing persons report. Your mother is losing her mind. You filed a missing persons report. I repeated incredulously. You left me on the highway, Derek. You drove away. I came back, he protested. I drove around for an hour looking for you, but you were gone. Where the hell are you? Whose phone is this? I'm safe. That's all you need to know. The hell it is. You're my wife, Vanessa. You belong at home. Belong. Like I was a possession. Property to be retrieved. Your wife, I said slowly. The wife you've been cheating on for 2 years. The wife you abandoned in a storm. That wife. I made a mistake, okay? Sorry. Come home and we'll talk about it. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. 2 years is a choice. Vanessa, please. His voice shifted, going soft and pleading. The tone he used when he wanted something. I love you. I've always loved you. Vivian was just... It was just physical. It didn't mean anything. She's pregnant with your child. I know, and I'm handling it. But that doesn't change us. Come home. We can work through this. I looked at Nicholas. He was watching me intently, his expression unreadable, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. He was waiting to see what I would choose. No, I said. No. Derek's voice sharpened. What do you mean, no? I mean, no, I'm not coming home. I mean, no, we're not working through this. I mean, our marriage is over, Derek. The silence on the other end was deafening. When Derek spoke again, his voice had changed completely. Cold. Hard. The rage from last night bleeding through. Where are you, Vanessa? That's not your concern. Like hell it's not. Are you with another man? Is that what this is? You found some rebound to make yourself feel better. Nicholas's eyes flashed dangerously. I put a hand on his arm, feeling the muscles coiled tight beneath my palm. I'm somewhere safe, I said evenly. Away from you. You stupid bitch. Derek's voice dropped to something ugly. You think you can just leave? You think I'm going to let you embarrass me like this? Everyone knows you're missing. What do you think they'll say when they find out you ran off with some random guy the same night you found out about Vivian? I don't care what they say. You will when I'm done. I'll ruin you, Vanessa. I'll tell everyone you're unstable, that you've been having an affair, that you're having a breakdown. Who do you think they'll believe? The successful executive or the unemployed wife with no friends? Each word was a calculated strike, designed to hit where he knew I was vulnerable. I had given up my career when we got married because Derek wanted a wife who could travel with him, entertain clients, be available. I had let my friendships fade because he always had somewhere else we needed to be. I had made myself small and dependent, and now he was weaponizing it. You're threatening me. I kept my voice steady through sheer force of will. I'm telling you how this is going to go. Come home by tonight or I start making calls. Your mother, your sister, everyone we know. I'll tell them you abandoned our marriage, that you're mentally unwell, that I'm worried for your safety. I'll freeze all our accounts, cancel your credit cards. You'll have nothing. I already have nothing, Derek. You made sure of that. Then you have nothing to lose by coming home. His voice turned sickeningly sweet. Baby, please. Love you. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. Just come home. The whiplash from threats to endearments made me dizzy. This was who Derek really was. I'd just been too blind to see it before. Control wrapped in concern. Abuse disguised as love. Nicholas reached over and took the phone from my hand. His movement was gentle, but there was nothing gentle about his expression. She's not coming home, he said. His voice quiet and absolutely lethal. Derek's sharp intake of breath was audible. Who the fuck is this? Someone you don't want to know. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave Vanessa alone. You're not going to call her mother, her sister, or anyone else. You're going to withdraw your missing persons report and tell everyone she's safe. You're going to have your lawyer draw up divorce papers with a very generous settlement, and you're going to sign them without complaint. Derek laughed, but it sounded nervous. Or what? You'll beat me up. I'll have you arrested for assault. I won't touch you, Nicholas said calmly. I don't need to. I know where you work, Derek Calloway. Calloway and Associates, downtown office, 14th floor. I know about the accounts you've been skimming from your clients. The insider trading. The 3 sexual harassment complaints your father paid to make disappear. The silence on the other end was absolute. How? Derek's voice had gone thin. I know everything about you now. Every secret, every lie, every corner you've cut. And if you do anything at all to hurt Vanessa, every bit of it goes public. To the police, to the bar association, to every news outlet in the city. Do you understand me? You can't prove any of that. Try me. 2 words, soft as silk and sharp as knives. Another long silence. Then Derek spoke, and I'd never heard him sound so small. Let me talk to my wife. No. Nicholas ended the call and set the phone down on the counter. I stared at him, my heart pounding. Did you really find all that? About the fraud and the harassment? I made some calls this morning while you slept. Nicholas's expression was unreadable. Your husband is a very careless man. He's made a lot of enemies. People talk when the right person asks the right questions. You did all that for me. You don't even know me. I know enough. He turned to face me fully, his dark eyes intense. I know your husband is a coward who abandoned you. I know he's trying to manipulate you into going back. And I know you deserve better than that. What if he doesn't back down? What if he really does try to ruin me? He won't. Nicholas's voice was absolutely certain. Men like Derek are bullies. They only fight when they know they'll win. Now he knows he'll lose. He'll slink away and focus on his pregnant mistress and forget you existed. The casual cruelty of that statement shouldn't have hurt, but it did. Forget I existed. After 5 years of marriage, I would just be erased. Nicholas must have seen something in my face because his expression softened. That's what he'll do. It's not what you deserve. What do I deserve? The question hung in the air between us. Nicholas studied me for a long moment, and I saw something shift in his eyes. A decision being made. To be seen, he said finally. To be valued. To be protected. He paused. To be free. I don't feel free. I feel lost. Lost isn't the same as trapped. You can find yourself again. I don't even know where to start. Start here. Nicholas gestured around the kitchen. Hey. Not because you have nowhere else to go, but because you choose to. Figure out who you are without him. And when you're ready, decide what comes next. I can't just stay in your house indefinitely. That's not fair to you. Let me worry about what's fair to me. Why are you doing this? I asked desperately. Why do you care? Because someone should. He said it simply like it was the most obvious thing in the world. And because when I saw you last night, I saw someone worth saving. Even if you don't see it yet. Tears pricked at my eyes. I blinked them back furiously, but Nicholas noticed. He always noticed. Hey! His hand came up to cup my cheek, his thumb brushing away a tear that escaped. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to fall apart. This is a safe place to do all of that. The gentleness in his touch, the understanding in his voice, broke something open inside me. I started to cry in earnest, great heaving sobs that shook my whole body. And Nicholas pulled me into his arms and held me while I shattered. He was solid and warm and steady, one hand in my hair, the other rubbing circles on my back. He didn't tell me it would be okay. Didn't offer empty platitudes. Just held me and let me break. When the storm finally passed, I pulled back, embarrassed. I'm sorry. I got your shirt wet. I have other shirts. His hands lingered on my shoulders. Feel better. A little. Still feel like my life is a disaster. Your old life is a disaster. This is a chance to build a new one. With you. The question came out before I could stop it. Nicholas's eyes went dark and intense. If you want. I don't understand what you're offering. Neither do I yet, he admitted. But I know I want you here. I know when I look at you, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. And I know that if you leave, I'm going to regret it. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. I'm still married. Technically. Technically isn't actually. And after that phone call, I think we both know your marriage is over in every way that matters. He was right. There was no going back from this. Derek had shown his true colors, and I had chosen to stay here instead of going home. I had chosen Nicholas. The realization should have terrified me. I had known this man for less than 24 hours. But when I looked into his eyes, I didn't see a stranger. I saw someone who had seen me at my absolute worst and decided I was worth protecting anyway. Okay, I whispered. I'll stay. Nicholas's expression transformed. Not a smile exactly, but something warmer. Satisfied. Possessive. Good. His thumb traced my cheekbone. Because I meant what I said last night. You're under my protection now. That makes you mine. And I don't let go of what's mine. The weight of that statement settled over me. This wasn't just shelter. This was a claim. Nicholas was marking territory, drawing a line in the sand. I was choosing his protection, yes, but I was also choosing him. And he was choosing me right back. Before I could overthink it, before I could talk myself out of it, I rose up on my toes and kissed him. For a heartbeat, Nicholas went absolutely still. Then his arms came around me, pulling me flush against him, and he kissed me back with an intensity that stole my breath. This wasn't a gentle kiss. It was claiming and desperate and real in a way nothing with Derek had been in years. Nicholas kissed like he meant it, like he was trying to say with his mouth what words couldn't convey. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. That was a bad idea, I said, but I didn't move away. Probably the worst. Nicholas's hands were still on my waist. Are you going to regret it? Ask me tomorrow. I'll ask you every day until the answer is no. This time I did smile. That could take a while. I have time. Teresa cleared her throat from somewhere behind us. I'd completely forgotten she was in the room. My face flamed with embarrassment, but when I turned to look at her, she was smiling. Nicholas, you have a meeting in an hour, she said mildly, like she hadn't just witnessed her employer kissing a woman he'd picked up off the highway last night. Cancel it. It's with Sunny and Luca. About the shipping issue. Nicholas's jaw tightened. Fine. Tell them I'll be there. He looked back at me. I have to handle some business. Will you be okay here for a few hours? I'll be fine. I should probably call my mom anyway. Before Derek does. Use my phone. The call won't trace back to this location. He squeezed my hand. And Vanessa. Don't let her convince you to go back. Mothers have a way of making us doubt ourselves. He left with one last lingering look, and I was alone with Teresa and the wreckage of my old life. Time to start building a new one. The call with my mother went exactly as badly as I'd expected. Vanessa Marie Hart, what on earth is going on? Her voice was shrill with panic and anger. Derek called me at 7 this morning saying you'd disappeared. He's beside himself with worry. I closed my eyes. Sitting in the library Nicholas had shown me before he left. Floor-to-ceiling books, a massive window overlooking manicured gardens, leather chairs that smelled expensive, a room designed for thinking. Mom, I'm fine. I'm safe. Safe where? Derek said you had some kind of breakdown, that you ran off in the middle of the night. Is that what he told you? Anger sparked hot in my chest. Did he mention why I left? He said you two had an argument, that you've been under a lot of stress lately and overreacted. He's having a baby with Vivian. The silence on the other end was absolute. What? My mother finally whispered. Derek has been having an affair with my best friend for 2 years. She's pregnant. I found out last night, confronted him, and he left me on the side of the highway in the rain. The words tumbled out, flat and factual. So no, Mom, I didn't have a breakdown. I had a very reasonable reaction to discovering my entire marriage was a lie. Oh, sweetheart. Her voice cracked. Why didn't you call me? He drove off with my phone. With everything. Where are you now? I'll come get you. You can stay with me and your father until you figure things out. I thought about my parents' house. The guest room where my mother would hover and fuss and tell me every day how I needed to forgive Derek, how marriage required compromise, how men made mistakes. The same speech she'd given herself when my father had his affair 15 years ago. I'm staying with a friend. What friend? Vivian was your only close friend in the city. The observation stung because it was true. I'd let all my other friendships wither, too busy being Derek's perfect wife. A new friend. Someone who helped me when I needed it. Vanessa, you sound strange. Are you sure you're thinking clearly? Maybe Derek is right, maybe you need to see someone, talk to a therapist. I'm not crazy, Mom. I didn't say crazy, I said stressed. There's a difference. She sighed. Just come home. To your real home. With Derek. You two can go to counseling, work through this. There's nothing to work through. He betrayed me. For 2 years. Men make mistakes, Vanessa. Your father and I got past his indiscretion. Dad had a one-night stand he confessed to immediately. Derek had a 2-year relationship and got another woman pregnant. Those aren't the same thing. Marriage is forever. You made vows. So did he. He broke them first. My mother made a frustrated sound. You're being stubborn. This isn't how I raised you. We don't give up when things get hard. I'm not giving up. I'm choosing myself for the first time in 5 years. By running to some stranger. Do you hear yourself? What kind of man picks up a woman off the street? A better one than I married, I thought but didn't say. I have to go, Mom. I'll call you in a few days. Vanessa, wait. I ended the call and sat in the heavy silence of the library, feeling hollowed out. I'd expected my mother's reaction, but it still hurt. One more person choosing Derek's narrative over my truth. That sounded difficult. Jump. A man stood in the doorway, someone I hadn't met before. Mid-30s, expensive suit, slicked back dark hair, and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you." He stepped into the room. "I'm Sonny Reeves. I work with Nicholas." "Vanessa." I stood, suddenly aware of how vulnerable I was. Nicholas was gone. I was alone with a stranger in a house I didn't know. I thought Nicholas had a meeting. I came early. "He's taking a call." Sonny's eyes traveled over me with an assessment that made my skin crawl. "So you're the woman from last night. Nicholas doesn't usually bring strays home." "Excuse me." No offense meant. But his smile suggested otherwise. "I'm just surprised. Nicholas keeps his personal and professional lives very separate. You must be special." "I should go." I moved toward the door, but Sonny shifted, not quite blocking my path but making it clear I'd have to brush past him to leave. "Hey, I'm curious about you." It's not often someone catches Nicholas's attention. He tilted his head. "What's your story?" "Runaway wife looking for protection. Damsel in distress." "That's none of your business." "Everything that affects Nicholas is my business. We're partners." Sonny leaned against the doorframe. "See, Nicholas has a weakness. He sees broken things and wants to fix them. It's gotten him in trouble before." "I'm not broken." "No." His eyes were sharp, calculating. "Then what are you doing here?" Before I could answer, Nicholas's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Sonny, I didn't realize you'd arrived." He appeared behind Sonny, his expression pleasant but his eyes cold. "And I definitely didn't realize you'd be bothering my guest." Sonny turned with an easy smile. "Not bothering. Just introducing myself. Consider yourselves introduced. Now let's talk business." "In my office." It wasn't a suggestion. Sonny gave me one last assessing look before following Nicholas out. As they left, I heard Nicholas's voice, low and dangerous. "If you ever speak to her again without me present, we're going to have a problem." I sank back into the chair, my hands shaking. Sonny's words echoed in my head. Nicholas has a weakness. He sees broken things and wants to fix them. Was that all I was? Project. Someone to save so Nicholas could feel better about the person he couldn't save before? The thought sat like lead in my stomach. I spent the next hour exploring the library, trying to distract myself. The books were actually read, spines creased, pages dog-eared. I found sections on philosophy, history, classic literature. A well-worn copy of The Count of Monte Cristo sat on a side table, a bookmark 3/4 through. I was examining a first-edition Hemingway when Teresa found me. "Nicholas's meeting is running long. He asked me to check on you." Her sharp eyes took in my expression. "You met Sonny. Is he always that charming?" "Sonny is." Teresa chose her words carefully. "Ambitious. He sees Nicholas's kindness as weakness, which makes him foolish. He said Nicholas has a habit of trying to fix broken things. And you're wondering if that's what you are to him." It wasn't a question. Teresa sat down across from me. "I've worked for Nicholas for 8 years. I've seen him help many people. Give money, provide jobs, solve problems. But I've never seen him bring someone into his home. This house is his sanctuary. He doesn't share it. Why me then? That's a question only he can answer. But I'll tell you what I see." Teresa leaned forward. "When Nicholas looks at you, he doesn't see a broken thing to fix. He sees someone worth keeping." Before I could process that, raised voices echoed from down the hall. Nicholas's office. I couldn't make out words, but the anger was clear. Teresa's expression tightened. "Stay here." But I was done being told to stay put, to be kept in the dark. I followed her into the hallway, moving quietly toward the source of the argument. Can't be serious about this. That was Sunny's voice, sharp with disbelief. She's a liability, Nicholas. We have the Castellano deal closing next week, the shipment coming in from overseas. This is the worst possible time to have some random woman in your house. She's not random. And she's not your concern. Nicholas's voice was ice cold. Everything you do is my concern. We're partners, remember? Or have you forgotten that while playing house with your new pet? The sound of something slamming, maybe a hand on a desk. Call her that again and you'll be looking for a new set of teeth. Nicholas's voice had gone deadly quiet. Vanessa is under my protection. That means she's off limits to you, to everyone. Are we clear? For how long? A week? A month? Until you get bored? Sunny laughed bitterly. This is about Sophia, isn't it? You think saving this one makes up for? Get out. Nicholas, come on, I said get out. We'll finish this conversation when you remember who you're talking to. Step. I barely had time to duck into an alcove before Sunny stormed past. His face twisted with anger. A moment later, another man followed, younger, early 20s, with the same dark coloring as Nicholas. He caught sight of me and paused. You must be Vanessa. His smile was genuine, warm. I'm Luca. Nicholas's brother. Brother. I hadn't known Nicholas had family. Unfortunately for him, yeah. Luca grinned. Don't let Sunny get to you. He's protective of Nicholas, even if he goes about it like an ass. He seemed to think I was a problem. You are a problem. Just not the kind Sunny thinks. Luca's eyes twinkled. You're the kind of problem that makes my brother smile for the first time in 5 years. That's the good kind. He left with a wave, and I was alone in the hallway, my mind spinning. Mafia. Sunny had mentioned someone named Sophia. The woman Nicholas had lost. The one he couldn't save. I shouldn't snoop. I should go back to the library and wait like I'd been told. Instead, I pushed open the door to Nicholas's office. He stood at the window, his back to me, tension radiating from every line of his body. The office was masculine and elegant. Dark wood leather chairs, a massive desk covered in papers and file folders. And on the wall, half hidden behind the door, a photograph. I moved closer without thinking. It showed a younger Nicholas, maybe 27 or 28. His arm around a beautiful woman with long dark hair and a brilliant smile. She was laughing at something off camera, and Nicholas was looking at her like she was his entire world. Her name was Sophia Cortez. Nicholas's voice made me jump. He'd turned from the window and was watching me study the photograph. We were engaged. What happened? She was killed. 5 years ago. He said it flatly, like stating a fact rather than describing a tragedy. I was building my business, making enemies faster than I could count them. One of them decided the best way to hurt me was through her. Oh God, Nicholas. I was supposed to pick her up from work that night. But I had a meeting that ran late. I called her, told her to take a cab. I'd meet her at home. His jaw clenched. She never made it. They grabbed her 3 blocks from her office. By the time I realized something was wrong and started looking, it was too late. The pain in his voice was raw and real and devastating. So Sunny was right, I said quietly. I am your second chance. The woman you saved to make up for the one you couldn't. Nicholas crossed the room in 3 strides. His hands coming up to frame my face, forcing me to meet his eyes. No. Sophia was sunshine and innocence and everything good in the world. She made me want to be better. And when she died, I died too. I spent 5 years going through the motions, running my business, doing what needed to be done, but not really living. His thumbs traced my cheekbones. Then I saw you in the rain, and for the first time in 5 years I felt something. Not because you remind me of her. Because you don't. Because you're fierce and broken and real. And when I look at you, I don't see the past. I see the future. You don't know me. Then let me. Not because you have nowhere else to go, But because you want to know me too. I should have said no. Should have recognized that this was too much, too fast, too intense. But standing there in his office with his hands gentle on my face and his eyes full of something that looked dangerously like hope, I couldn't make myself walk away. Okay, I whispered. Nicholas's kiss was softer this time, less desperate. A promise instead of a claim. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against mine. I need to tell you something. About what I do. I know you're not a legitimate businessman. No, I'm not. He stepped back, giving me space. My family has been in organized crime for 3 generations. My grandfather started it, my father expanded it, and now I run it. Import, export, protection, real estate. Some of it legal, most of it not. He was confirming what I'd already suspected, but hearing it said out loud made it real. Are you trying to scare me away? I'm trying to be honest. If you stay here, if you're with me, you're part of this world. That comes with risks. Like what happened to Sophia. Yes. His voice was heavy. I can protect you better than I protected her. I'm smarter now, more careful. But I can't promise you'll be completely safe. My enemies will see you as a weakness. A target. This was my out. My chance to walk away from the danger, from the complications. From a man who lived in a world I didn't understand. But when I thought about leaving, about going back to my safe, small life, all I felt was empty. I'm staying, I said. Vanessa. I'm staying, I repeated firmly. Derek took 5 years of my life. He made me small and dependent and scared. I'm not going to let fear rule me anymore. If being with you is dangerous, fine. At least it's real. Something fierce and possessive blazed in Nicholas's eyes. You're sure? I'm terrified. But I'm sure. He kissed me again, and this time there was no gentleness. This was claiming and desperate and full of promise. His hands tangled in my hair, my fingers gripped his shirt, and for the first time since my world fell apart, I felt alive. We were so focused on each other that neither of us heard the office door open. Well, isn't this cozy? We broke apart. A woman stood in the doorway, early 50s, elegant in a tailored suit, with sharp features and colder eyes. She looked at me like I was something unpleasant she'd found on her shoe. Aunt Carmela. Nicholas's voice went carefully neutral. I didn't know you were coming by. Clearly. Her gaze raked over me. Who's this? Vanessa Hart. Vanessa, this is my aunt Carmela Marcello. She handles the financial side of the business. How nice. Carmela's smile was all teeth. Another one of your charity cases, Nicholas. I thought you'd learned your lesson about bringing strays into the family. Vanessa is my guest. You'll treat her with respect. Of course. But her eyes said otherwise. I need to speak with you. Privately. We have a situation with the Castellano shipment. Can it wait? No. The single word was sharp as a knife. Nicholas looked at me apologetically. I'm sorry. This will take a while. It's fine. I gestured vaguely. Teresa will get you anything you need. He squeezed my hand once, a silent promise, and I left him with his aunt. But as I walked back to the library, I couldn't shake the feeling that Carmela's appearance was more than just bad timing. The way she'd looked at me, the contempt in her voice when she said, "Another one." I was missing something. Some piece of the puzzle that everyone else could see. And I had a terrible feeling that when I figured it out, everything was going to fall apart. 3 days passed in a strange, suspended reality. I fell into a rhythm at Nicholas's house. Mornings in the library with coffee and books. Afternoons learning to cook with Teresa, who turned out to have endless patience and a dry sense of humor that surprised me. Evenings with Nicholas when he finished work, talking over dinner about everything and nothing. He told me about growing up in his family, the pressure to take over the business, the violence he'd witnessed as a child. I told him about my lonely childhood as an only child, my parents' cold marriage, the way I'd thought Derek was my escape only to realize I'd traded one cage for another. Kissed. But Nicholas never pushed for more. seemed content to let things develop slowly. Like he knew I needed time to figure out who I was before I could give myself to someone else. It was perfect, which should have been my first warning that it couldn't last. On the fourth morning, I woke to find a box on the chair in my room. Inside was a phone, new and top of the line, already programmed with Nicholas's number, Teresa's, Luca's, and a few others I didn't recognize. The note attached read, "So you can call for help if you need it, or just to talk. Nicholas." Something warm bloomed in my chest. I was adding the phone to my contacts when it rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won out. "Hello, Vanessa." Vivian's voice hit me like a physical blow. "Please don't hang up." My finger hovered over the end call button. "How did you get this number?" "Derek hired a private investigator. He found out you're staying with Nicholas Marcello." Her voice trembled. "Vanessa, please, you have to listen to me. You're in danger. The only danger I was in was with your boyfriend. My husband. Remember him? I know you hate me. I deserve that. But this isn't about us. It's about him. Nicholas, do you know who he is? What he does?" "I know exactly who he is." "No, you don't. I've been doing research. Vanessa, he's dangerous. His family is connected to murders, extortion, drug trafficking. 3 women connected to him have disappeared in the last 10 years. Just vanished." My blood ran cold. "You're lying." "I'm not. I'm sending you links right now. Police reports, news articles, everything. Please just look at them. And then get out of there before you become the fourth." The call ended. A moment later, texts started flooding in. Links to news articles, police reports, public records. Clicked on the first one. The headline made my stomach drop. "Local woman missing. Police seek information on Sofia Cortez disappearance." But Nicholas had said Sofia was killed. Not missing. Killed. I read further. Sofia Cortez, age 26, reported missing by her employer when she failed to show up for work. Last seen leaving her office building at 6:47 p.m. Fiancé Nicholas Marcello questioned but not charged due to lack of evidence. Case remains open. Not killed. Missing. And Nicholas had been questioned. My hands shook as I clicked the next link. Second woman with ties to Marcello family vanishes. This one was about a woman named Isabella Romano, age 24, who had dated Nicholas's brother Luca. She disappeared 2 years ago. Also never found. The third article detailed a woman named Maria Castellano, who had worked for the Marcello family business. Missing for 4 months. No body recovered. 3 women. All connected to the Marcello family. All vanished without a trace. I scrolled through more articles, my horror growing. There were allegations of witness intimidation, evidence tampering, police on the Marcello payroll, a pattern of violence and disappearances stretching back years. And Nicholas at the center of it all. Whoa, this couldn't be right. Nicholas had been honest with me about his business, about the risks. He wouldn't lie about Sofia. Would he? I needed answers. I needed to talk to him. I found Nicholas in his office, focused on his computer. He looked up when I entered, his expression warming. "Good morning. I was just about to come find you. There's a gallery opening tonight. I thought you might. Tell me about Sofia." He went very still. "What about her? You said she was killed. But the police reports say she disappeared. That they questioned you. That they never found a body." Nicholas's expression shuttered. "Who have you been talking to? Does it matter? Just tell me the truth. What happened to Sofia?" He stood slowly, moving around the desk toward me. I took an instinctive step back. Something flickered in his eyes. Hurt maybe. The truth is complicated. Then uncomplicated. Nicholas was quiet for a long moment. "Sofia didn't die the way I said. She disappeared. I told you I was supposed to pick her up that night, that I was late. That part was true. But when I went looking for her, I found evidence that she'd been taken by the Volkov family. Russian mob, rivals of ours. They wanted to use her as leverage, force me to give up territory. What happened? I went to negotiate. Brought money, offered them deals, anything to get her back. His voice went flat, emotionless. When I got there, they told me she was already dead. That she'd tried to escape and they'd killed her. But they wouldn't give me the body. Said they'd dumped it where I'd never find it. The police think you did something to her. The police think a lot of things. Most of them wrong. Nicholas's eyes were hard. I loved Sophia. I would have died to protect her. Her disappearance nearly destroyed me. Then why did you lie about how she died? Because my fiancé was kidnapped and murdered by Russian mobsters isn't exactly a first date conversation. I simplified. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry. Made sense. It was logical. But something still felt off. What about the other women? Isabella Romano. Maria Castellano. Isabella left Luca and moved to Seattle. She calls him every few months. Maria stole from us and ran. We let her go because tracking her down wasn't worth the trouble. Nicholas took a step closer. Vanessa, whoever sent you those articles is trying to scare you. Trying to make you doubt me. Who is it? Derek. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. Because someone is feeding you half-truths and lies, and you're believing them. Can you prove any of what you're saying? That Isabella is alive, that Maria ran away. I can have Luca call Isabella right now if you want. But I shouldn't have to prove myself to you. You should trust me. I've known you for 4 days, Nicholas. 4 days. And you're asking me to ignore police reports and trust you blindly. I'm asking you to look at who I've been to you. Have I hurt you? Threatened you? Given you any reason to fear me? He hadn't. In 4 days, Nicholas had been nothing but protective, patient, kind. But then again, Derek had been wonderful for the first year of our relationship too. My silence was answer enough. Nicholas's expression went cold. You're going to leave. I didn't say that. You don't have to. I can see it in your eyes. Someone plants a few seeds of doubt and you're ready to run. His laugh was bitter. I thought you were different. I thought you were stronger than that. The words hit like a slap. That's not fair. Isn't it? The first time things get complicated, the first time you have to choose to trust me, you fold. Just like you folded with Derek. I left Derek. After 2 years of infidelity. After he literally abandoned you on a highway. You didn't leave because you were strong, Vanessa. You left because you had no other choice. Each word was a surgical strike, cutting into insecurities I'd barely acknowledged. That's cruel. It's honest. You want to know the truth. Here it is. You've spent your entire adult life making yourself smaller for other people. Your parents, Derek, probably every friend and boyfriend before him. And now you're doing it again. Someone tells you I'm dangerous, and instead of asking me directly, instead of trusting what you've seen with your own eyes, you're looking for an excuse to run. I did ask you directly. And when I gave you an answer, you didn't believe it. Because believing it means staying. Means choosing something real instead of running back to what's safe. Being with you isn't safe. You said so yourself. I said it came with risks. That's different from being unsafe. I would never hurt you, Vanessa. But you're so determined to see yourself as a victim that you can't recognize when someone is trying to love you. The word love hung in the air between us, shocking us both. Nicholas ran a hand through his hair. His control fraying. I didn't mean. That came out wrong. You love me. My voice was barely a whisper. I don't know. Maybe. It's too soon to know. But I know I could. I know when I look at you, I see a future I thought I'd lost. And I know that terrifies you so much you're looking for any excuse to sabotage it. He was right. The realization hit me like a freight train. I was looking for reasons to leave because staying meant being vulnerable, meant trusting someone, meant believing I deserved good things. And I'd spent so long believing I didn't. Before I could say anything, Nicholas's phone rang. He glanced at it and swore. I have to take this. He answered in Italian, his voice sharp and commanding. Then his expression changed. When? How many? Lock down the warehouses. I'm on my way. He ended the call and grabbed his jacket. I have to go. There's a problem with one of our shipments. Nicholas, wait, we need to. We'll talk when I get back. Stay in the house. Don't go anywhere. He was already moving toward the door. How long will you be gone? I don't know. Few hours. Maybe longer. He paused at the doorway, looking back at me. When I get back, you're going to have to make a choice, Vanessa. You're either all in or all out. I can't keep doing this half-measure thing where you have one foot out the door. Then he was gone, and I was alone with my spiraling thoughts. I spent the next hour pacing my room, Nicholas's words echoing in my head. He was right. I was looking for excuses to run. But he was also asking me to ignore serious red flags, to trust him blindly when I barely knew him. I was so lost in my thoughts that I didn't hear the knock on my door until it came again, louder. Come in, I called, expecting Teresa. It was Carmela. She swept into the room with the air of someone who owned the place, her sharp eyes taking in everything. We need to talk. I don't think we have anything to talk about. Oh, but we do. Carmela sat down in the chair by the window, uninvited. You've put Nicholas in a very difficult position. I haven't done anything. Your mere presence here is doing something. Do you have any idea what kind of danger you've brought to this family? I'm not the one who brought danger. Nicholas chose to help me. And he's going to regret that choice. Your husband has been making calls, asking questions about Nicholas's business. He's contacted the FBI, offering to provide information about our operations in exchange for immunity for his own crimes. The blood drained from my face. What? Derek Calloway is trying to destroy Nicholas to get back at you. And he's not being subtle about it. The feds are already sniffing around our shipments, our warehouses. That crisis Nicholas just left to handle. That's because customs seized $500,000 worth of merchandise based on an anonymous tip. We both know who made that call. I didn't know. I had no idea Derek would. Of course you didn't. You didn't think at all. You just accepted Nicholas's protection without considering what it would cost him. Carmela leaned forward. 3 of our operations have been compromised in the last 2 days. We've lost money, product, and credibility. And all of it traces back to your husband's vendetta. Guilt crashed over me in waves. This was my fault. I'd brought Derek's attention to Nicholas, put him in the crosshairs. What do? You leave. Today. You disappear, and maybe Derek backs off because he has nothing to gain anymore. Nicholas won't want me to go. Nicholas's judgment is clouded where you're concerned. He sees you as some kind of second chance, a way to make up for failing Sophia. But you're not saving him, Vanessa. You're destroying him. And if you care about him at all, you'll leave before it gets worse. Every word was a knife, cutting into my deepest fears. That I was a burden. That I brought nothing but trouble. That Nicholas would be better off without me. I need to talk to him first. He's going to be gone for hours dealing with the mess your presence has created. By the time he gets back, more damage will be done. More people will be at risk. Carmela stood. I have a car waiting. I'll take you anywhere you want to go. A hotel, the airport, your parents' house. Just choose. I can't just leave without telling him. Then write a note. But make the right choice, Vanessa. For once in your life, put someone else's needs before your own fear. She left, and I sat in the silence of the beautiful room, feeling the walls close in. Nicholas's words echoed in my head. You're looking for any excuse to run. But Carmela's words were louder. You're destroying him. What if she was right? What if my presence here was putting Nicholas and his family in danger? Derek had already proven he was vindictive enough to try to ruin me. Why wouldn't he go after the man protecting me? I thought about Nicholas coming home to find federal agents at his door. Thought about him being arrested because of information Derek provided. Thought about his business, his family. his entire life imploding because he'd been kind to a stranger on a rainy highway. I couldn't let that happen. I found Teresa in the kitchen and asked for paper and a pen. She gave them to me with questions in her eyes but didn't ask. Maybe she already knew what I was going to do. The note took 3 tries to get right. Nicholas, I'm sorry. Carmela told me about Derek contacting the FBI, about the shipments being seized. I can't stay here knowing I'm putting you in danger. You've done so much for me, given me so much, and all I've brought you is trouble. You were right about me. I do run when things get hard. But this time I'm running toward something instead of away. I'm running toward the woman I want to be. Someone strong enough to protect the people she cares about, even if it means walking away. Thank you for seeing me when I felt invisible. Thank you for making me feel worth saving. I hope someday I'll believe it. I'm sorry I'm not brave enough to stay. Vanessa. I left the note on his desk and walked out of the house with nothing but the clothes Nicholas had bought me and the phone he'd given me. Carmela's car was waiting in the drive, just like she'd said. A driver I didn't recognize opened the back door. I took one last look at the mansion, at the place where I'd felt safe and seen and valued for the first time in years. Then I got in the car. Where to? The driver asked. The Grandview Hotel downtown. It was the first place that came to mind, a hotel I'd passed 100 times. Neutral territory. We drove in silence. I watched the mansion disappear in the side mirror and told myself I was doing the right thing. Protecting Nicholas. Being selfless instead of selfish. But it felt like cowardice. We were halfway to the city when my new phone rang. Nicholas. I let it go to voicemail. He called again. And again. On the 4th call I turned the phone off. The driver's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. Mr. Marcello is going to be very angry when he finds out you're gone. I know. But he'll be safe. That's what matters. If you say so, miss. We pulled up to the Grandview 20 minutes later. I thanked the driver and walked into the lobby, feeling numb and hollow. The woman at the front desk smiled professionally. Checking in. Yes. 1 room, please. For tonight. Name. I hesitated. If I used my real name, Derek could find me. But I had no ID under any other name. Vanessa Hart. She typed into her computer, then frowned. I'm sorry, but I'm going to need a credit card and ID. I don't have them with me. Can I pay cash? We require a card on file for incidentals. Hotel policy. Course. I'd been so focused on getting away that I hadn't thought through the logistics. No ID, no credit cards, no money. Had nothing. I was turning to leave when someone called my name. Vanessa. Turned. And my entire world shattered. Because standing in the lobby of the Grandview Hotel, looking perfectly put together and completely shocked, was Vivian. And next to her, his hand possessively on her very pregnant belly, was Derek. They'd been waiting. This had been a trap. I looked back at the car that had brought me here, but it was already pulling away. The driver who'd said Nicholas would be angry. The car that Carmela had provided. Understanding crashed over me. Carmela hadn't been trying to protect Nicholas. She'd been delivering me straight to Derek. I'd fallen for it. Because I was so determined to believe I didn't deserve good things that I'd sabotaged the one real thing I'd found. Nicholas had been right about everything. And now I was going to pay the price. Derek's smile was cold and triumphant. Hello, wife. We need to talk. No. The word came out of my mouth before I'd consciously decided to say it. Derek's smile faltered. Excuse me. I said no. We don't need to talk. I straightened my spine, feeling something shift inside me. Something fundamental. Actually, we do need to talk. But not the conversation you're planning. Derek's expression hardened. He took a step toward me, and I saw Vivian's hand tighten on his arm. She looked different than I remembered. Tired. The glow of pregnancy couldn't hide the shadows under her eyes or the tightness around her mouth. Vanessa, don't make a scene. Derek's voice dropped to the condescending tone he always used when he wanted to control me. Come with us quietly, and we can work this out like adults. Work what out exactly? You contacted the FBI about Nicholas. You hired someone to track me down. You're working with Carmela to what, exactly? Force me to come home. Something flickered across Derek's face. Surprise that I knew, maybe. Carmela understands that you're confused, that you've fallen under the wrong influence. She's helping me get you somewhere safe. Safe? I laughed, and it sounded nothing like the broken woman from 4 days ago. You left me on a highway in the rain, Derek. You don't get to decide what's safe for me anymore. You're my wife. Not for long. I want a divorce. A real one with lawyers and paperwork and a very generous settlement. Just like Nicholas told you. Nicholas doesn't scare me. He should. But even if he didn't exist, my answer would be the same. I'm done, Derek. Done with your lies, your manipulation, your belief that you own me. Vivian spoke for the first time, her voice small. Vanessa, please. Just listen for a minute. I turned to look at her, really look at her. My former best friend. The woman who had held my hand at my father's funeral while carrying my husband's child. You don't get to please me, Vivian. You lost that right when you slept with my husband. I know I did. But I'm trying to help you now. That man you're staying with, he's dangerous. His aunt showed us evidence, police reports, missing women. Missing women who are alive and well. Isabella Romano is living in Seattle. Maria Castellano stole money and ran. And Sofia Cortez was killed by the Volkov family, not by Nicholas. I said it with absolute certainty, and realized with a shock that I believed it. Completely. Carmela lied to you. She's been lying to everyone. Why would she do that? Derek demanded. I don't know. But I'm going to find out. I pulled out my phone and turned it on. Immediately, it started buzzing with missed calls and voicemails. 12 from Nicholas. 3 from Luca. 1 from Teresa. I called Nicholas. He answered on the first ring. Where are you? His voice was rough, frantic. Vanessa, where the hell are you? The Grandview Hotel. Carmela told me I was putting you in danger, that Derek had contacted the FBI. She said I needed to leave and had a car take me here. Derek and Vivian were waiting. The silence on the other end was absolute. Then quiet and deadly. I'm 10 minutes away. Don't go anywhere with them. Do you understand me? Stay in public, stay where people can see you, and wait for me. Nicholas, I'm sorry, I should have. We'll talk about it later. Right now, just stay safe. He ended the call. I looked up to find Derek watching me with barely concealed rage. You called him. Of course you did. He stepped closer, and this time I didn't back away. You've changed, Vanessa. I don't like it. Good. Because I'm not changing for you. I'm not changing for anyone ever again. You think you're so strong now. You're nothing without me. No job, no money, no friends. That gangster will get bored of you in a few weeks. And then what? You'll come crawling back, and I won't be waiting. You're right about one thing. I don't have a job or money or friends. You made sure of that. You isolated me, made me dependent, kept me small and manageable. I took a step toward him, and had the satisfaction of seeing him back up. But you know what I do have? Self-respect. And the knowledge that I deserve better than a man who could look me in the eye every day while betraying me. I gave you everything. You gave me a cage with nice furniture. That's not the same thing. Vanessa. Vivian started, but I cut her off. You know what the saddest part is? I don't even hate you anymore. Either of you. I just feel sorry for you. I looked at them. This miserable couple bound together by lies and a baby neither of them seemed happy about. You deserve each other. The lobby doors burst open. Nicholas strode in like an avenging angel, Luca right behind him. His eyes found me instantly, scanning me for injuries, for signs of distress. When he seemed satisfied I was physically unharmed. His attention shifted to Derek. You must be the husband. Nicholas's voice was conversational, but there was murder in his eyes. Derek puffed up. And you must be the criminal taking advantage of my wife's vulnerability. Funny. From where I'm standing, you're the only one who took advantage of her. Nicholas moved to stand beside me, not touching but close enough that I could feel the heat of him. A united front. I believe I made myself clear on the phone. Vanessa is off limits. She's my wife. She's not off limits to anyone. Actually, a new voice interjected. She won't be your wife for much longer. A woman walked into the lobby, professional and polished, carrying a briefcase. She went straight to me and held out her hand. Mrs. Calloway. I'm Jennifer Chen, family law attorney. Mr. Marcello retained me this morning to handle your divorce proceedings. I stared at Nicholas. You hired me a lawyer. I hired you the best divorce lawyer in the state. She's never lost a case. His eyes were soft when they met mine. I told you. All in or all out. I'm all in, Vanessa. Even when you run, I'm not letting go. Something in my chest cracked open. This man, who I'd doubted and run from, had spent the morning securing my freedom. Jennifer turned to Derek with a smile that was pure professional courtesy hiding sharp teeth. Mr. Calloway, I have a petition for divorce and a settlement proposal I think you'll find very reasonable. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. I'm not signing anything. Then we'll go the hard way. Discovery depositions, forensic accountants going through every transaction you've made in the last 5 years. I'm particularly interested in those offshore accounts and the client funds you've been skimming. She pulled a folder from her briefcase. Mr. Marcello's people are very thorough. Derek's face went pale. You're bluffing. Try me. Jennifer's smile never wavered. Sign the papers, give Vanessa a fair settlement, and all of this stays private. Fight me, and I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man you are. I watched Derek calculate his options, watched the moment he realized he'd lost. His shoulders slumped. How much? $500,000 plus the house in your name only so she can sell it, plus alimony for 3 years while she gets back on her feet. Jennifer's voice was crisp. Non-negotiable. That's insane. That's generous, considering what I could get in court. You have 24 hours to decide. Jennifer handed him the folder and turned back to me. I'll be in touch about next steps. In the meantime, don't contact your husband directly. Everything goes through me. She left as efficiently as she'd arrived. Derek stood holding the folder like it might explode. His face mottled with rage and humiliation. This isn't over, he said, but it sounded hollow. Yes, it is. I met his eyes and felt nothing. No anger, no hurt, no lingering attachment. Just relief. Sign the papers, Derek. Move on with your life. I'm moving on with mine. I turned and walked toward Nicholas. His hand found mine warm and solid and real. We were almost to the door when Vivian called out. Vanessa, wait. Against my better judgment, I paused and looked back. She looked like she was going to cry. I really am sorry. For all of it. You deserved better. You deserved the truth. You're right. I did. I squeezed Nicholas's hand. But maybe this was how it was supposed to happen. Maybe I needed my world to fall apart so I could build a better one. I left without looking back. Outside, Luca was leaning against a black car, grinning. That was amazing. Did you see Derek's face when Jennifer pulled out the offshore account information? How did you find all that so fast? Asked Nicholas. I started looking into Derek the morning after I picked you up. I told you I'm thorough. He cupped my face in his hands. You scared the hell out of me. I came home and you were gone, and all I could think about was Sophia, about being too late again. I'm sorry. Carmela said I was putting you in danger, that Derek had contacted the FBI, and I just believed her. I didn't think. We need to talk about Carmela. Nicholas's expression darkened. But first I need to know. Are you staying? Really staying? 'Cause I meant what I said. I need you all in. I can't do this halfway. I thought about the woman I'd been 4 days ago, standing in the rain, broken and lost. Then I thought about who I'd become. Someone who stood up to her ex-husband. Someone who recognized her own worth. Someone brave enough to choose love even when it was terrifying. "I'm all in," I said. "I'm staying. Not because I have nowhere else to go, but because I want to be with you. Even though it scares me. Especially because it scares me." Nicholas kissed me, and it felt like a promise. Like a beginning. When we broke apart, Luca was still grinning. "Finally. Took you long enough." He climbed into the driver's seat. "Now can we go deal with Aunt Carmela? Because I've been waiting years for someone to finally call her out on her manipulative garbage." On the drive back, Nicholas explained. Carmela had been embezzling from the family business for years. Small amounts that added up over time. She'd covered her tracks well, but the increased federal scrutiny had made Nicholas take a closer look at the books. "She found out I was investigating this morning. She must have panicked and decided her best option was to get rid of you, make it look like you'd left on your own. Blame you for the FBI attention." Nicholas's jaw clenched. "She gambled that I'd be too hurt to look closely at what she'd been doing. What are you going to do? Give her a choice. Return the money and retire quietly, or face the family council and the consequences of betraying us." We arrived at the mansion to find Carmela in the foyer, a suitcase at her feet. She looked up when we walked in, and her expression cycled through shock, anger, and resignation. "I see your little pet found her way home," she said to Nicholas. "Vanessa isn't a pet. She's the woman I love. And you used her to cover your own crimes." Nicholas's voice was ice cold. "We found the accounts, Carmela. All of them. $2 million over 6 years. Carmela's facade cracked. I helped build this business. I deserved more than your father was willing to give me. So you stole. And when you got caught, you tried to destroy an innocent woman to save yourself." "Innocent?" Carmela laughed bitterly. "She brought federal attention to our family. No, you did that when you got sloppy with your embezzlement. Derek contacting the FBI was just convenient timing you tried to exploit." Carmela looked at me with pure hatred. "This is your fault. Everything was fine until you showed up. Everything was falling apart long before I arrived," I said quietly. "You just needed someone to blame." Teresa appeared from the hallway. "The car is ready." Carmela picked up her suitcase. "Where am I going?" "Wherever you want. As long as it's far from here." Nicholas's voice was final. "You have 24 hours to return the money. After that, I stop being generous." We watched her leave. When the door closed behind her, I felt the last piece of tension drain from my body. Nicholas pulled me close. "I'm sorry. I brought you into this mess. You brought me into your life. The mess came with it. I can handle it. I know you can." He pressed his forehead to mine. "You're stronger than you think, Vanessa Hart. You always have been. I'm starting to believe that." 3 months later, I stood in the library holding my settlement check. $500,000. Freedom in paper form. Jennifer had been as good as her word. Derek had signed the papers within 12 hours, probably terrified of what else Nicholas's people might uncover. The divorce was final last week. I was officially free. "What are you going to do with it?" Nicholas asked from the doorway. "Thought about that a lot. About using it to start over somewhere new, build an independent life. But every time I imagined my future, Nicholas was in it. I'm going to invest some, donate some to women's shelters, and use the rest to go back to school. I gave up my career for Derek. I want to finish what I started." "What did you study?" "Architecture. I was 2 semesters from my degree when Derek convinced me to quit." Nicholas smiled. "The library needs renovating, and I'm thinking about expanding the East Wing. I could use a good architect. Is that a job offer?" "It's whatever you want it to be." He crossed the room and took my hands. "Stay because you want to. Work because you want to. Build a life here because it's what you choose, not because you have no other options. I choose this." I kissed him softly. "I choose you. Every day I choose you." even knowing what I am, what I do, especially knowing you've never lied to me about who you are. That's more honesty than I got in 5 years of marriage. Nicholas pulled me close, and I breathed in the scent of him. Smoke and expensive cologne and home. I love you, Vanessa. I should have said it before. I was afraid I was moving too fast, that I'd scare you away. But I'm done being afraid. Love you. Everything about you. The broken parts and the strong parts and all the parts still figuring themselves out. I love you too. The words felt right. True. You saw me when I was invisible. You protected me when I was vulnerable. You let me fall apart and helped me put myself back together. How could I not love you? We stood there in the library as the sun set, two broken people who'd found each other at exactly the right time. I thought about the woman who'd stood in the rain 4 months ago, shattered and lost. She would never have believed that devastation could lead to this, that being left behind could lead to being found. But standing in Nicholas's arms, in a home that had become mine, planning a future I actually wanted, I understood something fundamental. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find what you were meant to have all along. Sometimes the worst night of your life is the beginning of the best chapter. And sometimes the man who stops in the rain is the one who changes everything. What are you thinking about? Nicholas murmured against my hair. That I'm glad you stopped. That night. I'm glad you didn't drive past. I'll never drive past you, Vanessa. No matter what storms come. I'm here. Always. It was a promise. Wow. The kind that actually meant something. And for the first time in my adult life I believed it. My phone buzzed. Text from Luca. Family dinner tonight. Teresa is making your favorite. Don't be late or I'm eating your portion. I laughed and showed Nicholas. He smiled, that rare, genuine smile he saved just for me. Ready to go deal with my crazy family. Always. We walked out of the library hand in hand, toward the sound of laughter and the smell of Teresa's cooking and the life I'd built from the ashes of my old one. Behind us, through the window, rain began to fall. But I wasn't standing in it anymore. I was home. Linda, thank you for following Vanessa's journey. Sometimes the hardest moments break us open so the light can get in. Sometimes leaving everything behind is the only way to find yourself. And sometimes, love finds us exactly when we need it most. If this story touched you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Where are you watching from? Have you ever had to lose everything to find yourself? Share your story below. Until next time, remember, you are stronger than you know, braver than you believe, and worthy of a love that sees all of you and chooses you anyway.